Yo, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Rush holding it down with the Labudo Network. Right now, promoting my side hustle, Rush Enterprise. If you're in the state of New Jersey, you need armed guards or unarmed guards, call up my business line and I'll line it up. The bigger the contract, the more money we make together, you heard? Today, I got a special guest. She go by the name of Vibin with Misha. She's a dope content creator. Yo, Misha, man, let the people know who you are. Let them know what you about and give them your MO, you heard?
Hey y'all, it's your girl vibing with Misha. I call myself AKA your brother's favorite little sister. Um, this is my YouTube channel. I'm originally from South New Jersey. Um, I'm married. I have two children, and I work and I travel for fun.
Where I've been tapped into your channel for a little bit. You know what I mean, you got a like a nice uh travel pack community, and I think it's dope how y'all exchange information within your channel. And my first question for you would be like, how'd you end up like started traveling? Because I know you done been to DR and Colombia and all that. Like, what gave you the courage for you and your husband to travel like that?
Well, my husband is originally from Lefrak, from Queens, New York, and he's in tune with the Dominican culture, so he has a lot of Dominican friends who were deported. I'm sorry, my camera is blurring out. I don't know why. Um, he has a lot of friends who were deported, so in order for him to see them again, we got to travel up there. So that's what kind of like pushed us to start traveling to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I think that's dope, man. Like, what was the process y'all went through to purchase all that land out there in DR? And what advice would you give to somebody that wants to make that transition to purchase some land out there?
As far as the land, like I said, he's got a lot of Dominican friends from the local area who was deported from New York. So we pretty much went through them so that way we didn't get beat or, just get priced as a gringo. So we went through his friends and we got the local price. So we got 2 acres for about $25,000. We haven't started building anything yet. We got an architect to come out there and design the house of my dream, which was like more so a modern Miami style house. Um, my message to anyone trying to purchase land in the Dominican Republic: make sure that you get to know the people at least a little bit before you go ahead and purchase some land. Hire a lawyer to back you up if you don't have no local friends, because I mean it could go either way.
Yo, I'm glad you mentioned about getting priced as a North American, because a lot of times when go to a foreign land like that, they will overprice you because you're from the states. So I'm glad you gave that advice out there like that. Man,
Yeah.
that's dope to have that kind of connection within the country, because you get a lot of perks doing that. Having somebody that's like a local native from that area. Know what I mean.
Yeah, and like the house that I, you know, designed with the architect, it's a 4 bedroom. It's got a pool, jacuzzi, it's got an extra room for the housemaid and all of that. So it came up to 290. Here in the States you can't get all of that for 290. So we decided to purchase land in the Dominican Republic, and that's where we're happy at. That feels like, it feels like home over there. I'm not originally from, but my family's from Puerto Rico, from Galle, Puerto Rico. um I was born and raised here in the States. So but I've been to Puerto Rico once, and I went for a wedding. I didn't get to experience the local areas and try original food from Puerto Rico. I just always had a good time in Dominican Republic, Mexico. Colombia, and we decided to purchase our land in the Dominican Republic because we built a lot of connections there with the locals. We take care of a lot of people there, and they open many doors for us. Shout out to the Dominican Republic. That's my husband right there, Rainier's World.
Yo, salute to you, Renee, man. Yo, hey, you definitely got to pull up the next time we got a panel, man. I would love for you and your wife to come through. Now, man. Now, my next question for you would be like, okay, now I know, yeah, you're Puerto Rican and all that. Like, what are some of the? Because you mentioned that you really like DR and Colombia, and like that's like your go-to spots, and you don't have no other interest to check out other countries or whatever. So, what are some of the things in DR and Colombia that have you gravitated towards their country like that?
Um, First off, I want to say that I'm not the type of girl that want to visit every single country. I literally don't. Some people want to visit every single country. I don't. I'm content with traveling to the places that I know. What gravitated me to the DR was just the culture, the people, um, the way of life out there. I'm from the bottom. And with Colombia, what gravitated me to Colombia, shout out to Rooftop Republic CTG and Cartagena, Colombia, is two black men who opened up a hotel in Cartagena. Before I went to Cartagena to go meet up with them and meet them for the first time, I visited Cali, Colombia with my husband once, and I went twice. Colombia cost of living is very affordable, and that's what gravitated me to Colombia. But the Dominican Republic won Colombia as far as me having somewhere to live and where I want to build my where I want to build my home is because, I'm married to a black man, and I feel like it's colorism everywhere, right? But we rock with the DR. We got a lot of people out there. We feel comfortable there. We got foot on ground for sure.
Now, as far as having like some sort of permanent residency in DR and Colombia, like how you guys go about doing that? Because you know, there I did some traveling myself, and those countries out there, they're not as lenient as the United States when it comes to immigration. Like, the immigration police, they stay booking niggas out there and deporting them. So like, how you guys go about getting your your long stay within those countries?
Well, we haven't took those steps yet because we are still currently here in the States. I'm a 9 to 5 here in the pharmaceutical business, and my husband owns two businesses here. He owns a gym, and he also owns a logistics company. I do know from being on YouTube, if you don't get your residency in Colombia, your max stay is about 6 months, and you got to leave for 6 months, and then you're able to come back. Um, I know the Dominican Republic, they'll hit you at the airport with like a fee or something, but I don't think it's that much to me. In my opinion, it's not that much. It's about $80, $90, depending on how long you stay there. Like I said, I have no information as far as the residency because I haven't went through that yet. And when I do go through it, I am going to be recording everything. So that way I can show the people, what I had to go through. Because my goals is to be in the Dominican Republic for 6 months after my house is built, and then 6 months in Atlanta, Georgia, Douglasville, because that's where his mom and his brothers live at. So 6 months there, 6 months in the DR. And I like those two places only because flying is not that far from each other. Just in case any type of emergencies with family members and stuff, we can get there fast.
Where I mean, do you think? I mean, I think that's dope. Do 6 months, one country and another. But do you think you'll ever transition to stay there permanently or not?
I would love to. I don't have a problem with it. I would love to, for sure. As long as I can set myself up with remote work, because it is very important. I'm young. I'm 33 years old. I'm not retired. So it is very important if you're going to be living in another country to set yourself up remotely because you need America's income to support you in one of those countries for sure. I don't advise no American to go out there and work there unless you have your own business and you want to build it from the bottom and start and you know you believe in your business, then do it that way. But my goal is to set myself up remotely for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wish I could do that too. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I did it for 2 years, but I ended up just coming back to the States. But if I could, get something where I could work remotely, yeah, I would love to do something like that. But till then, I'm gonna be in the States chasing that chicken. But obviously, I got an exit plan myself. You know what I mean? I don't plan to stay out here too long. You know what I mean? But my next question for you would be, do you think women in the United States have something to worry about with dudes like dudes that's able to afford to leave the country? Because it's not a cheap thing moving out the country. And I mean, it's real expensive. So, do you think American women got something to worry about with the type of dudes that they want that look for a traditional wife overseas?
Yeah, I mean, with the generation now, let's be clear that the women are bossing up and they are making money and stuff like that, but money is not everything, and they do have something to worry about because if the men that they want are leaving, they just gonna be lonely as hell. So it's either clean your act up or get with the program, like to each his own, like, but because you'll have a crowd of women saying, F them, I could do it all by myself. But, I come from a different culture and I need a man in my house. I need my man here to play his role, like I can't be that. So I don't condone that, but to each his own. But yeah, for sure, in my opinion, yeah, they are gonna have a problem if you guys keep leaving for sure.
I mean, the reason why I asked that because I know, like, I have a lot of friends that live overseas too, and it's like, they all say like the same thing. Like, I guess the quality of women in the states is like, listen, I'm not knocking dudes that do that, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't do that just for the soul of that. I mean, but it seems like dudes that got that chicken, they making moves like that. I mean, so that's why I brought it up. Now, my next question for you would be like, yo, what does it take to preserve a strong marriage? Because I know y'all been together for like 18 years and y'all been married for only like 3 years. So what some advice would you give to a young lady that's seeking for something like that?
Mm. I've been with my husband for 14 years and we've been married for 3 years. My advice is a little different, but I feel like they ain't gonna take my advice. I feel like if you meet somebody and you rock with him, it don't matter what he make, rock out with him because you never know the position he's gonna be in the future. Um, this generation is different. I did mine's differently. My husband, he met me at the age of 20. So, I was open for change and all of that. My advice is to be open to change, like don't wait until it's too late until you're all cooked up because then nobody's gonna want you. It's a lot of women out there that's like, I'm 40 something years old, I'm the shit, I make this a year, this, that, the third. But nah, babe, you cooked. You cooked at that age. It's a lot of women out here that, you know, um, they Mrs. Know It All. They either Mrs. Know It All or they put their career on top of everything and forget about what they have at home. So I'm a different type of breed. I'm not saying that I'm better, but like I chose to listen. I chose to be open to change, and that's how my life changed. I mean, if you're not willing to be open minded and go through a little change, then you're just always going to be where you're at.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice because when you reach a certain age, sometimes we're not as flexible to try new things, and you're right, a woman in the 40s, seeking for something like marriage, you kind of lost your chance of getting something like that because the type of dudes you're looking for, they're probably going to look for something younger and more, flexible, because, when women hit a certain age, they're not as flexible as they were in their 20s, But I think that's real good advice. My next question for you would be, yo, what's your thoughts on the Passport Bros movement? Why do you think that movement has such a negative stigma attached to it?
Um, I think it has negativity towards the name Passport Bros is because maybe it's because a lot of the guys are reporting and posting a lot of what they're doing in these countries. A lot of the YNs are messing it up. um, and a lot of these guys travel to those countries specifically to go to the red light district, and they record and put everything online and talk about prices and all that stuff. So I think, and just how the younger immature men are acting, is what's messing up the name. I'm not sure if I answered that right,
No,
but
no, no, no. I agree with you. Like they like, a lot of them partake in a lot of crazy activities with young females out there.
I mean,
And I think
I don't knock them for partaking in those activities because I be with the shits with my husband and all that. It's just about how they broadcast it online and put it out there and disrespect the women. And at the end of the day, they're human. They're in these countries and they got to do what they got to do for their bread. I just think it's the way they're broadcasting it, recording everything, disrespecting the women physically and all of that, and putting it online, and it's making a bad name for Passport Bros.
yeah, no, no, I agree with you on that. I was kind of like expounding on this one particular dude that got booked for dealing with underage females out there. You know what I mean? Definitely not a cool thing, and that's what kind of like smeared a negative stigma on the whole Passport Bros movement. But like I wouldn't say the YNs mess it up. Not I don't think a lot of YNs travel like that, but there is like a level of immaturity from all races of groups that go out there. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
yeah, it's not just the brothers. It's a mixture of the YNs and a mixture of the older guys who are still immature. So it's not just them. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a mixture of everybody, just doing inappropriate things, just recording it and broadcasting it and talking about it online is, ridiculous. But
yeah, I mean, just it's yeah, I guess it's just not a cool thing. I mean, being a part of that movement now because niggas looking crazy now. My next question for you would be, okay, what's your thoughts on dudes that's like, I guess like in their 50s that tend to, I guess, go overseas to wife up a young chick like half their age. Like, do you think there's a level of delusion? And if so, give me the breakdown.
um I'm trying to pick my words right because a lot of people on this YouTube thing, they clip your stuff up, they roast you and they say, "Oh my gosh, she said this." All right, so my husband is 50, and with the world being, with everything going on in this world, if he wasn't with me, I wish he would go do what he does to make him happy, right? I wouldn't say there's some type of delusion there. As long as it's not a minor, it's fine. But um, if you're 50 years old and you go to another country and you're dealing with somebody in her late 20s or whatever, maybe I don't know. Maybe you just want that relationship feeling. I don't know. Do I think that something like that could possibly last? In my opinion, no. But I don't think that you're wrong for trying it. I don't think it's going to last though. I mean, you're 50.
Yo, hold on. You gotta break down the science on why you don't think it's feasible. Yeah, I mean, because you know, there's a lot of suckers that do that. Yeah, I mean, they go overseas and try to wife up a tenderoni out there. You know what I mean?
I mean, at that age, you're still learning. Your brain is still developing. You're still going through mistakes with relationships, the do's and the don'ts and all of that. Meanwhile, he's 50 and he's already who he is. Is either you going to accept that or not. And then, okay, let's just say you're with him for 10 years. There you go. He's 60. You are just starting to become a woman. So if that was me, I'm outside. I'm trying to like I think there is some sort of delusion there, but not so much in a negative way. I don't want to make it seem like, I'm trying to say that it's not possible. But it is a very big age gap. So, to each his own, try it. And if it don't work out, I told you so.
Where I mean, yo, what are some of the red flags? What are some of the red flags do within their 50s to watch out for a choppy out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are some of the red flags you got to watch out for?
How she dresses, um, how she posts her pictures online, um, if she's always complaining about family issues, if she's always like, saying that she's struggling this month, if she doesn't have a job, um, if she's still living with her parents. There's a lot out there. If she got a Tinder, um, there's a lot of little red flags.
Now I know Tinder, the Tinder app. That's the app that they use to line niggas up. You know what I mean? Them scope
I
queens
mean,
and all that.
it,
Know what I
it is
mean?
a,
So,
it is a dating app. I do know of somebody who actually met his wife on the Tinder app. So I take that back. I wouldn't say, having Tinder, but you could see her page on Tinder and know if she's a choppy adora or if she's a pro, like you could tell just by the way she's posting her pictures on there. If she's holding a cup behind Boca Chica Beach on top of the table, doing all this fancy, crazy stuff. Like, no, we already hit to that.
yeah, I know the Tinder app in Colombia is used a lot to blind niggas out. You know what I mean? By the scope queens and all that. So what are some and yo, you're giving us some good information, man, because it's
Yeah,
gonna
but
help her.
the
Go ahead, go
Tinder
ahead.
app is not specifically used in Colombia to scope niggas out because I have got a few shorties on the Tinder app while I was in Colombia and my husband didn't get scoped. So it's not specifically used for that. It's the red flags that niggas is ignoring, like the shorties with all the tattoos and wearing sneakers while she's going to a club, or she got Jordan ones while she meeting up with you with a whole bunch of tattoos, shorts on with a crop top. That's a scopolamine type of bitch. It's the red flags. It's not Tinder itself. It's the red flags that these guys choose to ignore.
Well, okay, where is going? What is going? Yeah, man, because it's been a lot of that going on, especially I think Bacayera, like a lot of them get lined up out there too. And I'm glad you broke that down. I mean, like it's crazy out there, man. A lot of times, man, you go to a foreign country, you don't understand the culture nor the language, you're bound to be a lick. I mean, so
Yeah,
would you advise somebody before going out these countries to learn the language and also understand the culture as well?
I advise them to definitely study and understand the culture. Leave your American ways here in America. Their culture in Colombia and in the Dominican Republic is very, very different. If you can learn Spanish to vibe with a female, is definitely a better feeling. Like you definitely going to get like it's not going to be no issues if you know Spanish, but I still advise fellas to still travel if they don't know the language and they're, trying to vibe out with a shorty or something, because you could use Google Translate, if that's what you're there for. But if you're going to be, traveling and looking forward to living over there remotely and things in that nature, I do advise you to learn some sort of Spanish for sure.
Word. So, what are some of the hot spots you'd like to go to in Colombia?
When I went to Colombia, the first place that I visited was Cali, Colombia, and that's because I had cosmetic work done, and my husband had his teeth done. So I didn't get to, visit hot spots in Cali. If there is any, I haven't heard of anything. When I was there, it was more so, going to restaurants and things like that with your peoples and going to like the parks and stuff. But in Cartagena, Colombia, I went to the Clock Tower and to Hollywood Beach. I went to Playa Baru, which is a local beach for the Colombians. And yeah, I pretty much stood around there because, I went specifically over there to meet Uncle Jay and Cousin Miguel that owned the hotel. So while I was doing that, I decided that I wanted to partake in activities. So I went to those specific areas.
Okay. What are some of the pros and cons living in the Dominican Republic?
The cons will be that you have access to fresh food. Um, you have access to beautiful rivers and beaches, especially the rivers that are close by. Um, the price of food is very much cheaper than America. The people are beautiful. They're very polite. Um, I would say con would be traffic is very, very bad. Depending on where you at in Dominican Republic, the loss of electricity. Um, and just, how when you're here in America and you have appointments and things like that, typically they're not late. Dominicans, they're always late. You got to get used to that. They're never ever on time. Um, what else? During hurricane season, it gets really bad over there with the floods. The water's not going down like it does here in America. Um, and just trying to get things done over there, appointments and all of that is it's a hassle. Trying to open up a bank account is very different. Like when my husband opened up a bank account over there, he couldn't just go into the bank by himself. He had to go in with another gentleman, and they had a meeting with somebody in there. So he couldn't, as an American, he couldn't just go in there and open up a bank account. So, there's a lot of little things that you got to be willing to change and adjust to that kind of living if you want to move over there. As far as Colombia, I would say the pros are the people, the food, the cost of living. I don't know too much of the cons because I haven't had that much experience over there in Colombia, but it's kind of similar to me with people being on, late and stuff like that, but whatever.
Your friend from your side, your channel, the Travel Pals, he says don't
Yeah,
look for love in
yeah,
the tourist area.
yeah, shout out to the Travel POV, shout out to Ronin Travelers, and shout out to K9. They came over from my channel to show love. Shout out to y'all. Um, the Travel POV says don't look for love in tourist areas, and I will agree to that. You know, when you're looking for love in tourist areas, 9 times out of 10, those girls are working women. You know, and a lot of younger men who don't know and don't listen to YouTube and they're first time travelers, they don't know that, and they go down there and they be like, oh my God, I met her at the clock tower and she's so like beautiful and she really like rocking with me and she fuck with me and da da da. Like, she's a working girl. So you have to know the difference. You have to travel not just one time, keep going to visit that country, and you know, just be careful.
Yo, shout out to Sophisticated Jerk with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you, Young King. Yo, we the Sucker Free team. Costain Sucker Free is the campaign, you heard? Now, I'm glad you broke that down, because a lot of times, you know, dudes will fall for the okie doke thinking that, you know what I mean? You know, the chick is really into him, but really he's just a lick. And you know, a lot of that do go wrong when you travel overseas if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you don't speak the language fluently and not knowing the culture. So I think that's some good advice. My next question for you would be, do you really don't want to check out no other countries, like, you know, like Spain, Italy, or whatever? Like, do you
Um,
think one day
yeah,
you'll probably, you know what I mean,
yeah,
step out there?
I mean, yeah. If my husband do, I mean, I would like to go to Costa Rica. I would like to go to Chile because I know somebody in Chile. Um, as far as Spain, France, and Greece, and all that, nah, I'm not interested in going there. Um, Bali. Um, I'm interested in Dubai. My husband's not because he's a smoker. He likes to smoke his marijuana. But yeah, for sure. There's a few other countries, but I'm just not in a rush to. But yeah, I will for sure. The only thing that's really holding me back from visiting different countries, to be honest with you, is my daughter's 1 years old. I know people personally in Cali and in Cartagena and Dominican Republic that I can actually be like, you know, come with me, look out for my daughter while, you know, I'm doing this, that, the third, and I take care of them, you know, and it's all love. But in those other countries, no, I can't visit right now. She's still young, and I'm not ready to leave her home. She traveled with me to Colombia, and she is coming with me to the Dominican Republic. I have a trip planned in October. So she's already getting her passport stamped up.
Okay. She getting them tattoos on the passport. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I think traveling is good, man. Like, you get to learn different things, and you get to learn things about yourself as well too. Traveling like that. Now as far as like a sucker going overseas or whatever, right? Trying to wife up a shorty out there. Like, what's a good time frame for him to, you know, live out there to see what's going on whether if, you know, shorty's a suitable mate to link up with.
What you mean by time frame?
Like, you know, say for instance he meets a chick in DR, right, and he's able to, you know, stay out there for a couple of months. Like, how many months would it take for him to figure out whether or not she gonna line him up to be a lick?
Um, First off, I advise if you're going to be in a relationship with one of these girls, you should be living there. All that long distance, you know, I'm staying over there for 2, 3 months and then coming back home. That's a no-go for me. So I really don't have, like, I just stand on that. If you're gonna take somebody serious, be living over there. The people that I know that are taking the women serious and that are in serious relationships, they live there. So, you know, being there for a few months and leaving and thinking that ain't nothing popping off with her and somebody else there, I feel like it's a red flag, but to each his own. But I do feel like if you're gonna be in a relationship with one of them, you should be living there.
You mentioned that you know a lot of people in Colombia. Like, do you have any of your friends that kind of like dealt with the tragedy of the earthquake recently? And if so, give us the breakdown.
I have somebody that I know from Colombia, but she's here already in the States. Somebody brought her to the States and it did not work out. She ended up being in an abusive relationship with a gentleman who went to Cali, Colombia, and fed her dreams because when he hopped off that plane, you know, you're technically rich over there. And then the minute you come back home, you live in check to check. And she realized that when she got here in the States. So she's not with him no more. I know two people, but I contacted them and they were not affected by the earthquake. No, not at all. But I don't know of anyone who was.
Yeah, I got a friend that's out there right now, like doing a fundraiser, trying to help the people out there in the locals. So shout out to the Fly Boy Way, man. You know what I mean, good dude.
Oh yeah, I follow him. Shout out to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, my next question for you would be, okay, you mentioned that you like the nightlife in you know, DR, whatever. What are some of the things that you really like about the nightlife in Dominican Republic?
They party. They party. The nightlife is lit over there, especially and a lot of the known clubs. They Dominicans know how to party. I love their music, their thembo music. I love their music. So yeah, they party hard and they don't stop until the next day.
Word. Well, yo, this is all I got for you. Any last words for my peoples out here before we pill out?
No, well, my advice is to, if you don't have your passport, get your passport. Life is short, travel. Um, if you're nervous about traveling, you know, when you get to wherever you're going to, 9 times out of 10, your cab driver is the person that you start building with. Don't be afraid to talk and communicate because that's the only way you're going to get your foot on ground. Don't go out there being super cheap, not tipping because these people work hard. Don't think that doors is going to open for you in these countries if you don't show love. Don't disrespect the women. The women are human. Just because they out there doing what they got to do, they still feed their families. You know, they still take care of their loved ones. Um, Keep your head on a swivel. If you're drinking and you're by yourself, don't drink too much. If you leave your drink, make sure you don't go back to that drink because you can get scoped anywhere because there are, just because you in Dominican Republic don't mean that you can't get scoped, because remember the girls in Colombia, the Venezuelas and the Colombian girls, they travel to the DR to work, so they're everywhere. You just got to be on point. So yeah, I advise you get your passport and go out there and see what's out there because America is great as far as money, but America is not everything. It's a lot of stress here. America will kill you at a young age because of all the overhead you got. If you are working remotely or if you are a veteran, then leave. Go somewhere where it's tropical, and stay away from high-rise buildings because I feel like when things do happen, those high-rise buildings, they go down and you fucked. So yeah, travel, my people, travel.
Word. Thank you so much for pulling up. I'm definitely gonna hit you up. You and your husband to pull out whenever I have panels. You know what I mean? I'm gonna start back doing panels and all that, man. Thank you so much for pulling up, Misha. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you for having me. Shout out to you. Shout out to the
All right.
chat also.
Word, word. Later. Yo, it's your boy Rush, aka Rua Mundo, out here chasing that boil, that guacamole, that ragu. Seek wisdom, practice humility, and those remain sucker free. You heard? I'm out. One.